Derbyites, we're here to talk about the men at the Emmys in the drama series categories, drama actor and drama supporting actor. I am here with a cast of thousands: Amanda Spears, Tony Ruiz, Charles Bright, Riley Chow, and Zach Laws. And I am Rob Licuria. And let's run through the nominees for Best Drama Actor. They are Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, the episode Memphis; Anthony Hopkins for Westworld for Trompe l'oeil, I think that's how you say it; Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul for the episode Expenses; Matthew Rhys for The Americans for the episode Crossbreed; Liev Schreiber for Ray Donovan for the episode Rattus; Kevin Spacey for House of Cards for the episode Chapter 53; and Milo Ventimiglia for This Is Us for Moonshadow. Great category, lots of little surprises there. I was very excited to see Milo Ventimiglia. We're going to be talking about vote splitting, so get your tequila ready. Cheers. And I want to know who is going to win this. I am currently predicting Anthony Hopkins. I have no idea. Somebody talk.
Me too. I am actually predicting Anthony Hopkins as well.
Why?
I think, okay, to get the vote splitting thing out of the way, the worst thing that ever happened to Sterling K. Brown was Milo Ventimiglia getting nominated in this category, and I had a really strong feeling it was going to happen. Just like living in this town and having met the man personally a few times, and Sterling K. Brown is a very nice man as well. So, it's nothing against him personally, but Milo Ventimiglia. Every time I met him, the guy was like, "How you doing? Nice to see you again. How's your vacation going?" If he did that with me, I knew he was doing that with voters. So it seemed like a sure thing that he was going to get nominated. Now, those two are going to split. I guarantee it. Which says, all right, which of these other five guys is going to win? I think Bob Odenkirk has the best shot he's ever had of winning for Better Call Saul. But the same is probably true of Kevin Spacey. He's been waiting for the field to clear a little bit. So those two could split the overdue vote. Same thing goes for Matthew Rhys. Same thing could go for Liev Schreiber. Then you have Anthony Hopkins, who is the biggest name in the category. Kevin Spacey, of course, has 2 Oscars as well, so he's not the only Oscar winner. But he's also just the classy actor. He's the veteran actor. And by the way, they've only got one chance to reward this guy for this
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, sorry to all those.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure about it, but just looking at it on paper, I can just see Anthony Hopkins winning this.
Wow, okay.
I absolutely agree, and frankly, I am so freaking pissed off at Bob Odenkirk for not submitting chicanery. I think it is the dumbest thing he's ever done.
Wow, that's a big
not submitting. I mean, seriously, that was the episode.
He bought those shares a few years ago, which went downhill. But apart from that, yes. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I think of right. Hall of Fame bad submissions.
Really? You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
Not submitting chicanery was because it's like Cain and Abel and A Few Good Men, combined. There's just something about him going to town at his brother. He's regretting this. He doesn't want to do it. He has to do it to save himself. I think it was the episode. I mean, they pulled off a miracle getting into writing and directing. He should have submitted chicanery.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. I can't help it. I'm sorry. And if Kevin Spacey couldn't win last year, he is not going to do it till the final season. It's just not going to happen.
I just think it's never going to happen. Period.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be the same level. I don't think there's going to be the same level of goodwill towards him. But I do have to severely disagree with your point there. I just watched Expenses today. I just watched Expenses today, and I thought he was phenomenal in that episode, especially that last part. I just think, you kind of know what he's doing, but you also kind of feel like he's getting some stuff out, venting a little bit. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. But again, screw the episode submissions. They don't fucking matter. So, it's like, It's at least not to the degree they used to. So I don't think that, you know, a disastrous episode a disaster. And from what I also remember about chicanery, it's been a while since I watched the episode. That was more Michael McKean's episode.
No, I think they're equals. They're so good. They're both like, it's just perfect for me.
It's been a while since I watched it, and so the reason I'm saying is that's the stuff that's the stuff that sticks with me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Tony, what do you think?
Well, if I'm voting, if I was going on episodes, I'd be giving this to Milo Ventimiglia, and I wouldn't even be thinking twice about it. I thought his performance in that finale of This Is Us was so heartbreaking, and it ticks all the boxes of a great Emmy submission. He's got the time jump back and forth, so you get to see him at different ages. He's got, you know, he gets beat up, he gets drunk, he has a big shouting, loud, angry fight with his wife, and then he caps it off with that really heartfelt speech at the end. It's an amazing performance in that episode too. So that's my personal favorite. As far as, I think Zach's exactly right. I think they're going to split each other, and even if they don't, I think Sterling K. Brown is more favored. But I'm currently predicting Odenkirk. For all the reasons Charlie just said, I think this is his best shot, and I thought that performance was fantastic. And I'm not a regular Better Call Saul watcher, and I thought that he just nailed it in that episode. But I think that Hopkins, I had not really considered him seriously until Zach said all of that.
And Milo and Sterling K. Brown are out there on their own. They're not in each other's episodes. Not enough that it would be significant to sway somebody one way or the other. So if they do watch these episodes, that might be the best scenario for each of them, because it does kind of counteract vote splitting, because you have Milo and you have Sterling K. Brown separate. And I love Milo from Gilmore Girls.
Well, you know,
sorry.
When I saw Milo, I don't even know how he pronounces his name.
It's Milo.
Okay, Milo. It's Milo. When I saw him up on the screen on nominations morning, it really meant a lot to me, because it's a character that I really love, and it's an actor that I really, really like and admire, and I'm very happy for him. He must be so over the moon. Maybe the nomination is enough, but because I think the vote splitting will ultimately be his downfall, along with Sterling K. Brown, who has been the front runner at Gold Derby for a very long time. The in-house editors have been talking about Sterling K. Brown for a very long time. And we are all really kind of rooting for him, because, you know, we really like the guy and we love the character. So if we take those two out of the equation, Bob Odenkirk is overdue, as is Liev Schreiber and Kevin Spacey, Matthew Rhys. And I have a feeling that maybe, even though Anthony Hopkins is my ultimate kind of gut prediction, I have a feeling Liev Schreiber is being underrated. He's got 2 other nominations in the narrator category, by the way. Like, they love him. He's been nominated every year.
He should have won the thing last year.
Sorry? Go ahead, Riley. You talk.
Oh, I said he was not the first season.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're right. Thank you. So I have a feeling that Liev Schreiber is, a possibility there. I don't know why. I have no cogent argument to make for that, unfortunately.
He should have won the thing last year, so I'm with you on that. So
there's 4 people in this category who have yet to win an Emmy for these kind of signature roles. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's like not one of them is more overdue than the other. So it's just going to be a question of which one people think gave the better performance overall, I guess.
Yeah.
I think what Anthony Hopkins gives us is classic Anthony Hopkins. He's not in a lot of it, but he's evil. He's weaving in between all these people. And, you know, we kept thinking he's going to get a Golden Globe nomination. No, didn't get the SAG nomination. And now finally he pops up and I'm like, yep, there we go. Because I think all of us had other people predicted for one reason or the other. And he's just so well respected.
but those exact reasons could be what stops him from winning, because he's giving a very Anthony Hopkins-esque performance. I mean, it's not very flashy, it's not very dynamic. He's really more of a supporting player on that show than a real, authentic lead. So that could work against him. And the Emmys have never been as star effery as I edited myself there. The Emmys are not necessarily always going for the big stars. So we don't even know if the fact that he is a huge major Oscar winner helps him.
Well, let's not forget, I mean, to your point that he's a supporting character in the show, this is the man who won a Best Actor Oscar for 17 minutes worth of screen time for playing Hannibal Lecter.
That's right.
Now, I know I'm not trying to compare the two characters. Obviously, one was one of the most iconic performances in movie history. But
and the other is Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
but they like who they like. I mean,
him.
Maggie Smith didn't earn all those Emmys. Come on, they like Maggie Smith. They might just like him.
From one,
he has 2 Emmys already, by the way, for
he does
TV movies he did back in 30 years ago. So,
it's
he'll get the new model.
We haven't heard from Riley yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I don't think Anthony Hopkins has much of a chance. I mean, I've got him 5th just because I don't think that Matthew Reeves has a chance at all. But I think we saw last year under this new system, the Emmy voters, they're not really sympathetic to the people who have everything. They're not going for your Kevin Spaceys, your Viola Davises. Instead, they're recognizing people who have been kind of long overdue, your Regina Kings, Margot Martindales, or breakout characters like Tatiana Maslany, Rami Malek, or people who they love in this role like Ben Mendelsohn. I don't think Anthony Hopkins he was surprised to get in, and this category does have 7 nominees, so maybe he was 7th. At the Critics' Choice Awards, they awarded both Evan Rachel Wood and Tandy Newton, and they didn't even nominate Anthony Hopkins. And we see Jeffrey Wright over in the supporting category, and in his episode, he's got twice as much screen time as Anthony Hopkins in his. I think Anthony Hopkins kind of went along for the ride with this one, but I don't think anybody got to the end of Westworld and thought he was amazing. I think it was all about the discovery of these 3 other people who are nominated from the show. In Anthony Hopkins' episode, he shows up 23 minutes into it, and then he doesn't appear again until the last scene of the episode. So he's got 2 scenes, 13 minutes in an hour-long episode. It's really not a lead role. Sterling K. Brown is also not a lead role. There's this poll in the forum about would you vote for Milo Ventimiglia or Sterling K. Brown? And you think that Sterling K. Brown would be far ahead just because he got the SAG nomination and then Milo Ventimiglia was seen as a surprise. But Sterling K. Brown does only have 58% support, so it does show that there's a fair split. So even though there is that split, I'm trying to think who is the alternative, and it seems that Gold Derby has settled on Bob Odenkirk as most likely to upset. But what really worries me about him is that Jonathan Banks has not been able to prevail against, let's say, weaker competition, being in a supporting category. He couldn't win against Peter Dinklage doing nothing, and then he couldn't win against Ben Mendelsohn being a ghost. And then this year, when Rhea Seehorn was better than ever, Michael McKean was better than ever, they didn't get either of them in. So I don't think that the acting branch is watching Better Call Saul or feels much admiration for the show. He wasn't even nominated at SAG this year. So I'm going with Sterling K. Brown just because I think all the alternatives seem ridiculous, even with the vote splitting. But I would say if there is an upset, it'll be Kevin Spacey because, as much as we like to say he's never won before, he's never going to win. It's not people in the industry are so averse to voting for him that he hasn't won 2 SAG awards for this role very recently. And he has different
competition. The curse. If you want to and you haven't won an Emmy by then, that's usually when you're not going to win. But let me just ask you, you mentioned something about going along for the ride. I think Peter Dinklage went along for the ride with Game of Thrones. Do you think if Westworld really takes off, that Anthony freaking Hopkins doesn't just kind of go along for the ride? I mean, I could see that where it's momentum.
Now they have to be really passionate about him. because Peter Dinklage, I would assume, you know, everybody was watching him, so nobody was ranking him at the bottom of the category.
Okay. Cricket.
I'll say for Leo Schreiber, I was disappointed in his submission this year because both of his last two submissions were quite strong. This year, he just doesn't really do anything.
It's more classic, his character. Yeah. Last year, he would have won on tape. So,
yeah.
Well, on that note, let's move on to the supporting actors. There's 7 of them as well, which means there was a tie. And I have some clear favorite. Look, I think we could probably, could I be a smart ass and say John Lithgow from The Crown for the episode Assassins, and then all of the people who won't win, which are Jonathan Banks for Better Call Saul for Witness, David Harbour for Stranger Things for The Upside Down, Michael Kelly for House of Cards for Chapter 64, Ron Cephas-Jones for This Is Us for the episode Memphis, Mandy Patinkin for Homeland for the episode America First, and Jeffrey Wright for Westworld for the episode The Well-Tempered Clavia. So I assume we are all predicting John Lithgow to win for The Crown. That seems like a pretty much of a no-brainer. So we can talk at length about why he's so wonderful in that. But I'd like to talk about, if he doesn't win, who could possibly upset. I think that's really where we need to take this conversation. And for my 2 cents, before I pass it off to whoever would like to go first, I'm really, really happy that Ron Cephas-Jones made it in. He's not a big name. He's like what you would call a journeyman actor or a character actor. They hate that, by the way, but that's what he is.
And Dow gave you 10 minutes.
He did. She did, and Margot Martindale hates it as well. But Ron Cephas-Jones, it was so wonderful in that show. I'm very happy to see him here, and but personally, I would love to see David Harbour win, because I thought his performance in the finale, the season finale of Stranger Things, was gut-wrenching. And that's probably because of my own personal circumstances, but also because I just thought he's wonderful as a great character. So that's where I'm coming from. Who would like to open up the discussion?
Well, I saw Riley shake his head when you said everybody's predicting John Lithgow, and Riley was shaking his head. So I think Riley should go.
Thanks, Jonah. Yeah, I was indeed. I'm predicting Ron Cephas-Jones for now, just because of what I said before. You know, there are some cases where the Emmys in this new system. Okay, wait, is Amanda okay? Okay.
Yeah, good. I just can't. I'll be quiet.
Like, there's some cases in the new system where we've seen the Emmys just go with these towering performances, you know, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jeffrey Tambor. At this point, nobody's feeling bad for them. It's not like a breakout role for them, but they're just, you know, a towering performance. And we might see that with John Lithgow here. But, like, I wouldn't put too much stock into his SAG award, or maybe not as much as everybody else's, because, like, as I was saying, at SAG, they like to go with the movie stars. At the Emmys, under the new system, they don't like doing that. So Ron Cephas-Jones, he is on a show that, you know, they clearly liked, and, you know, he dies, and he's playing gay, and he's a longtime character actor. He ticks many boxes that I think would, you know, garner sympathy from voters. And I think the other one that we have to watch out for is Jeffrey Wright. And like, Westworld's kind of a show that has been underestimated by Gold Derby all season long, even though it was the most nominated drama in the Guilds, and it's also the most nominated drama at the Emmys. But Jeffrey Wright, he is a guy who won an Emmy. He won a Golden Globe for Angels in America. And then over the next 13 years, you know, all he got was, you know, Critics' Choice nomination for Boardwalk Empire. But now he has this role where he is, in his episode, he's playing 2 different characters. He's also appearing in flashbacks. He's also losing a child, and he's killing himself, and he's realizing the circumstances of his own existence. Like, there's a lot of bait for this character, and it's a popular show. So I think he is also one that we need to watch out for.
I actually think you're exactly right about Jeffrey Wright. He's actually in my second place. I think you're crazy for not predicting Lithgow, but the problem, Ron Cephas-Jones has one big problem. If they're watching the episodes, he's a character that they love, but if submissions matter at all, and I'm not saying that they totally matter, but they might matter a little bit. He's actually upstaged in his submission by the actor whose name escapes me right now, who actually plays him in the flashbacks. He has far more screen time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
Fantastic.
He deserved a guest actor nomination for that. But Lithgow is not a movie star. Let's stop saying that he's a movie star. He's not.
Yeah,
he is a veteran Tony winner actor. He got a standing ovation at SAG.
And can I just say that usually I would agree with you about SAG not meaning that they're going to win. But in the 23-year history of the SAG Awards, Lithgow made double history, triple history this year. He is the first actor nominated in every category. He is the first actor to win on both the drama and the comedy side. He is the first actor ever to win for a supporting role. I think that says a lot about how much they like him, because they didn't go for someone in the lead role. They didn't go for Sterling K. Brown when he was a double nominee for this and on the limited series side. So I think for Lithgow, he transforms in a way that's so respected. I just think there's some of those performances that in a popular vote or in a rank system under with tapes, they would win. And I think for Lithgow, that's this performance.
And let me say this for
loved.
Let me say this for Lithgow as well. I mean, in terms of his chances of winning, I do agree that I think this is a much stronger category than we're probably giving it credit for, and that he does have some competition here from some very emotional performances. But one of the things that I think works in his favor is, I was just watching The Crown last night to get ready for an interview with Peter Morgan, which you can watch on goldderby.com here. But anyway, I was watching it to prepare for this interview, and my roommate comes in and says, "Who's that actor playing Winston Churchill?" And I say, "That's John Lithgow." And he says, "No, it can't." And I mean, whoever thought to take this guy who is tall, skinny, and American and make him one of the most recognizable people in British history? I mean, what Peter Morgan talked about was every Brit has their Winston Churchill performance. So seeing John Lithgow, he truly did bring something new to this iconic role. And I think it's going to make whatever Gary Oldman does in Darkest Hour, he's really going to have to work hard to compete with what Lithgow does here. Let me just make this one last point, and then I'll give the floor. If submissions matter, he has got a great episode.
Yeah.
So he makes me cry in that episode. I mean, almost through.
That submission is, in my opinion, one of the all-time great Emmy submissions. It's the type of performance that if tape still mattered, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Real person, tons of range. He dominates the episode. And let's not forget that actors who play Winston Churchill win Emmys.
He'll be the third or fourth.
He'll be I think at least Albert Finney, Brendan Gleeson. They just go for people who play Churchill. And the fact that he's an American playing this icon of Great Britain with an entire acting company of just Brits, and he's John Lithgow.
And he has the respect of all of those British actors. And we see so often, like, British actors playing Abraham Lincoln. And so to see him kind of do it in reverse, it was kind of exciting. It was kind of fun to see it finally. And I think there is something about having somebody who isn't from that country, who isn't maybe so closely connected to it, bring something new to it. And he was so brilliant.
This guy is a brilliant actor. I mean, look, this is the guy who was on Third Rock from the Sun for 5 seasons. Yeah, he has that TV.
And won 3 Emmys.
Yeah,
he had Reverend from Footloose. Like, come on.
He had that TV show on NBC this year, also Trial and Error, where he was just the goofiest person alive. I mean,
I wish he got nominated for that too.
Yeah, the range that this man has, and he played a serial killer too on Dexter's. I mean, like the range that this man has in the roles that he plays, be it as a transsexual in The World According to Garp, or as a husband in Terms of Endearment. I mean, it's just the man. There's nothing that this man cannot do, and I think that if you're going with actors, that's your pick. Now, again, I will say,
if this was a movie, he would be already we would all be saying Oscar, 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 Oscar. We wouldn't even be thinking about it, but because it's the Emmys and the Emmys do crazy things.
And also keep one thing in mind. This is the only chance that the Emmys have to reward him for playing Churchill, because we're not even sure if he's going to be in
I just saw the
season 2.
preview, and he appears in the preview.
Okay.
That's good to know.
So maybe it's a guess. Maybe he's a guest. Maybe something he pops up, but he does appear in the preview. So does Go See Hall.
I need to watch that. So we're not talking about Jonathan Banks, Michael Kelly, Mandy Patinkin at all. So they are obviously.
I don't know how Mandy Patinkin got in here. I mean, seriously.
In the year that not that he's not deserving, but in the year that the show, and for the very first time, Claire Danes gets kicked out. Like, it just makes you kind of wonder if he's just been in 7th place this whole time, and then he finally just like got enough votes.
He just got some really iffy press about that whole Great Comet casting snafu, where he was going to take a roll away, and that's not going to help him. I mean, he did the right thing, but still, it's not going to endear him to voters. It's just a messy situation.
Mandy Patinkin is not a very endearing person.
Well, he stepped down, but he did the right thing.
He did the right thing. He absolutely did the right thing there.
But he was misled. It was a sticky situation.
If I always think that there are certain wins that in a ceremony that tell us, I always feel like there are certain wins where we go, okay, they're watching the episodes. Okay, they're not watching the episodes. And it's interesting. What was it? 2 years ago, I was livid. If you want to go back and watch our post-Emmys discussion, when Jonathan Banks lost that Emmy.
Oh, your drunk one. Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, I was pissed.
But you didn't break
because
anything.
Peter Dinklage was like,
really?
Why am I up here?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, and the weird thing is if Jonathan Banks were to win, I think it would be evidence that they are not watching anything.
No.
Yeah, they'd be like, you know what, we done fucked up the last couple of years.
At least John Voight. At least we don't have to worry about John Voight maybe taking this in some like weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Hollywood Republican.
Are you kidding me? I would pay to watch that. Anyhow, I think it would just be so uncomfortable. I would love it. It'd be like a great sitcom.
And he could say, "Make
it'd be
America
like a great
great
episode
again."
of The Office.
Why is Jonathan Banks in this
the other
category
thing-
and not Michael McKean as well? That's another issue.
Because
That's the other question to ask. But
Well,
I will say, Jonathan Banks does have an overdue factor here. Remember, his first Emmy nomination came 28 years ago in this category for a show called Wise Guy.
Right. So good.
Yeah, and then he wasn't nominated again until 2013 when he was up for his last season on Breaking Bad.
He should have won.
So I think that's and he lost to Bobby Cannavale. So I think that's.
I love Aaron Paul's face reaction in that.
Bobby Cannavale was so good in that season of Boardwalk Empire. The whole other thing. Michael Kelly, though, we haven't talked about him yet. He keeps getting nominated for House of Cards, which
And the show does too.
yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. All I was going to say was Michael Kelly is what I can glean from when I talk to people about House of Cards is it's a popular character. They really like the character, and Doug Stamper. So I think he makes it in because he really sells the character quite beautifully. Unfortunately for him, Doug is a very buttoned down kind of guy, and I don't think he's ever going to get the opportunity to do something that's going to really wow the Emmy voters. And unfortunately for all of them, they have John Lithgow to deal with. And so
Well, he did have something a couple of years ago to do that.
Yeah, you think, is that the one where he was like injecting the alcohol into his mouth? There was one particular, that was probably
If he couldn't win for the third season, which was that great year when Jonathan Banks was first up for Better Call Saul and Ben Mendelsohn was up for Bloodline, and they all lost to Peter Dinklage for Game of Thrones. Like,
yeah.
It was like the strongest category ever, and they gave it to. Anyway, I don't want to.
No, we are still pissed. We will not rest.
So you all,
I am launching a recall campaign on that Emmy.
You're a little late though. That's the thing. What about David Harbour?
There is no late.
He's like the glue that kind of holds that show together in many respects. I just really admire him and his character. He obviously doesn't really have a chance this year, unfortunately, but I'm very happy to see him here. Does anyone?
I got him in third place.
Okay, that's good.
I really
got him in third place.
I don't know. for me, I thought if anybody was going to like sneak in, I was hoping it'd be one of the guys from The Handmaid's Tale, frankly.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I was overjoyed about Harbour's nomination, and I think, and I have him in third as well. I think he's if Lithgow weren't here, he'd be totally competitive, because he really is he's the character that really changes the most over the course of the series. And let's not forget, again, drinking game number 2, his SAG speech.
Those speeches are not going to win you an award. I mean, it didn't win Meryl an Oscar. It's not good. I mean,
it won't hurt him.
It won't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him.
I think it helps him get into the category, but I don't think it's going to win him an Emmy.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. You know, not having Joseph Fiennes in the category is a slight thing. Like, it's a slight against the show a little. Handmaid's
Tale. Or the actor who plays his husband, Moss's husband. I can't remember.
OT from Benley. Yeah, like maybe that's a little like nugget that we need to remember. If Handmaid's Tale underperforms on Emmy night, maybe we'll look back and think, well, it didn't get an actor in this category. Perhaps
but they got 2 supporting actresses that nobody saw coming.
Yeah, I think that show's not about the men.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you
can. I know, but Joseph Fiennes at least has a name. Like, I mean, Joseph Fiennes has a name. I mean,
yeah.
As brilliant as he is in that show, and I think he's fantastic in it. You know, it is a show that I think people focus more on the women in it. Hence why Ann Dowd and Samira Wiley are in that category. I do want to just say, you know, since Riley is the lone person predicting Ron Cephas Jones, he is somebody who I would look out for, even though, as Tony pointed out, he's not really in his episode. Even if you're not a big This Is Us fan, I think that episode is something that really affects a lot of people, you know, especially like having just gone through something like that in my own life with somebody who is near and dear to my heart. I think that really could help him. If there is like an emotional favorite in this category, it could be him.
The subject matter of This Is Us and Memphis is something I think most people will find the most easily relatable.
Yeah.
Because there's not the sci-fi element, which might you know, kind of stumble up David Harbour. Most people aren't going to be prime minister, although, you know, anyone can be president. But I think, and I know he's not in a lot of it, but that last scene with Sterling K. Brown, I mean, if that's the only thing people remember after they stop crying,
pretty cool.
The show really likes that episode. Like, it's an acting submission in 3 categories, all 3 male categories, actually. And then they also submitted it instead of the pilot in both writing and directing, had the same writer and director.
They should have just submitted it. They should have just submitted that for writing and directing.
It would have made it in, and then we would be talking about that. Yeah, Memphis was probably the highlight of the whole season for me and for many other people that I talk to. We're probably going to leave it there unless someone has one final thought. Anything?
Yeah, can I say something about Manny Patinkin? This is actually not his most surprising nomination of the year, as he was nominated for the non-existent season of Homeland at Critics' Choice.
Yeah, that's right. And thank you, Riley, for always. We rely on you to.
That's why he got that Emmy nomination, because they rescinded his Critics' Choice nomination. That's what it was.
So this is Riley's fault.
It's all your fault.
This is Riley's fault.
Yeah.
So Mandy Patinkin should be sending you a box of chocolates right now.
Joseph Fiennes can send his hate mail to Riley.
And Fiennes doesn't deserve a nomination.
And Michael McKeon, Michael McKeon is probably the one that we most notice as being absent from this category, unfortunately. All right, thank you all. We'll be back next week to talk about comedy.